was recent. This one was found in Mexico City, and it's in an exhibition that was shown in 2012. This creature was found in the National Forest, and there are archaeologists that have been brought in. It has almost like bat-like wings. Look at the little head here. And it's got pointy pixie ears and 2 pairs of leather wings. So 2 pairs is 4 wings, same kind of thing that we're talking about. And I actually would like to show you, I don't know if I can find this one quickly, but I've got one of my videos queued up for you around dragons. And again, why are these things beginning to resurface? It's possible, that they've been here all along. In fact, when you look at dragons, as a clairvoyant, I've actually seen dragons and encountered dragons. They're very intelligent. I like dragons, actually, a great deal. They're very loyal. They love crystals. This is why, you hear all the stories of them loving gold and silver. They're actually dream with the crystals of the planet. There are definitely dragons in the 4th dimension and the 5th. I've seen them in the 2nd dimension. I've never physically seen a dragon in the 3rd dimension, but the Cherokee Indians say that the last dragons they saw were seen in the 1830s in the Great Smoky Mountains. And of course, there are legends of dragons all around the world. The Chinese thought of them very beneficently. They thought of them as good luck, as positive. Once you get into Christianity, the dragons were demonized, and you have the story of St. George going to kill the dragon. This is it's hard to know. Maybe you had a mean dragon, or maybe this is the patriarchy dominating and oppressing and killing everything it doesn't really understand. The boys club that has to slay everything. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that there are wonderful men out there, very conscious men, loving men, supportive men, but we've been raised in a patriarchal tradition, and certainly Christianity and the patriarchal religions teach us to dominate and subdue the world, and that everything out there is for our use. We eat it, we kill it, we shoot it, we hunt it, we exterminate it, and we pat ourselves on the back. And this is really not a holistic way of thinking. We're all on this planet together. We all deserve to have life unless we're doing horrible, terrible things. And humans can be part of that. And certainly we do wonderful, magnificent things, but we also use and abuse our resources and the other animals around us. So there are a few videos that have shown up in recent days around dragons. And so I think that dragons may be resurfacing, but like many of these creatures, if you were a dragon, or you were a elf, or you were a pixie, or you were a fairy, would you want to come out to the humans and say, hey, I'm here, let's make friends? No, because you'd be taken into a laboratory and dissected. And so it's certainly understandable that these beings might be, let's just see how I can do this, might be, I'm going to minimize this, guys, and I'm going to go over to this one. Now, I've seen some others besides this one. There really are some out there. And of course, as with everything with YouTube, you have to be discerning. There's some on angels, and some angel things where the beings are appearing, disappearing. I think they're very genuine. Others are really made up. We've gotten very sophisticated in our cinema technology, and so some things can be misleading. So we have to be discerning when we look at any of this, but this is pretty interesting evidence.
Look at footage of a giant mysterious flying creature that was caught on tape by a man in China. This particular footage was taken near the border of Laos. The man initially thought the creature was a bird, but upon zooming in, he discovered that it bared amazing resemblance to either a pterodactyl or a dragon. Is this mysterious creature a dragon caught on tape? What do you think? Here is the full, unedited footage. Now, we take a look at this video in slow motion.
Pretty interesting, huh? This is one of several, and this is the only one I pulled up, but if you want to, we'll take a moment to look at a few others. We're actually doing really, really great with our time. So we have enough time to be able to look at them.
So what do you think? Is this a real-life pterodactyl? Is this proof that pterodactyls still exist? Is it evidence of the existence of dragons? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you. Now, we take a look at some more footage of a recent sighting of a similar creature.
Certainly seems to move very similarly in both videos, doesn't it? What's interesting about dragons is that if you study the ancient literature, there's a writing by Isis. Thoth actually wrote it, but she dictated it. It's called the Cor Cosmu. And in it, Isis is teaching her son Horus about the world. And she talks about the greatness of the lion as the king of beasts and the eagle. But she talks about the dragons. And she says that they are the most intelligent of reptiles and kind, that they're actually good beings. And so, of course, if any being is hunted to extinction, it could wind up becoming very aggressive and very angry. So it's quite possible that by the time we have the last of the dragons are all in a very bad mood because they've been hunted to virtual extinction. Okay, we're going to stop this one. Let's see if I can find a few of the others. I hope you guys are interested in dragons out there. I know that I certainly am. Let's see, 10 mythical creatures taught on tape. That might be one that's real. You know, you have to, like I said, you have to look at these things and really try to be discerning. Let's see how long this one is, and if this is one of the ones that has actually this stuff. Okay, it looks like an ad. I hate it when they do the ads.
Future's changed. I saw a Savitar murder you.
Yep, looks like a movie.
Everything that happens leading up to Iris's death.
Let's see.
Found in books, TV shows, and movies. But some people are under the belief that these creatures and the unique image they have couldn't have just spawned out of thin air. They believe these creatures actually existed or still exist in some way, shape, or form. There is quite a bit of video and photo evidence that may suggest these mythical beasts exist outside of the stories we know them from. So that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So here are 10 mythical creatures that were caught on tape. Number 1 is the ghoul. A ghoul is a monster that existed in Arabian mythology. They were first introduced in English literature in 1786. and today they can be found throughout popular culture and media such as the Japanese manga Tokyo Ghoul and the popular game series Fallout. Their image has, of course, changed over time, but for the most part, these monsters resemble humans and even more so, zombies. While they are very prevalent in pieces of fiction, there have been a few people who claim these creatures actually exist. And there's a few video clips that may suggest this is true. One clip shows a ghoul-like creature emerging from a cave who appears to be on the brink of death. There is also this clip which shows us a creature that was discovered in a tunnel that has bright eyes and a very strange posture. The second the camera begins to move towards it, it quickly exits the scene. Now these clips haven't been confirmed, but while the definition of a ghoul given to us by Arabian mythology might not exist, in the game Fallout, ghouls are essentially described as people who just about survived nuclear attacks, and seeing as there has been nuclear-based experiments done on people, it wouldn't be that surprising if at one time a ghoul was actually living on this planet. We just wouldn't have any knowledge of it. Number 2 is a giant. Giants are one of the most well-known mythical creatures in history. They appear in countless mythologies and thousands of stories. Now, the tallest man in medical history is Robert Wadlow, who is just under 9 feet in size. However, general mythology tends to describe a giant as a person who is at least 10 feet in size. Now, the average size of people is actually growing quite a bit due to advanced diets and developed medical practices. So somebody being 10 feet tall in the next few centuries may be a possibility. However, there are a few people who believe giants may already exist, and we just don't have any knowledge of their existence. This clip was taken in Peru and appears to show 2 relatively normal-looking people standing on a cliff. This is until one of those people seemingly stands up properly and we see how tall they really are. There have also been a number of pictures that show skeletons that may have belonged to giants, however these haven't been confirmed. Number 3 is the Loch Ness Monster. The Loch Ness Monster is a well-known mythical sea creature that is said to reside in the Scottish Highlands. While most people believe this creature only exists in stories and mythology, there have been a large number of accounts from various explorers who have stated they came across a beast like no other in the very area where the Loch Ness Monster is said to be. These accounts started popping up hundreds of years ago, and because of this, there are quite a few people who believe this monster is out there. Well, there are a handful of videos that exist that show some strange-looking creatures resembling the Loch Ness Monster. An example of this is a video that a camera crew picked up that shows a creature coming towards them. It just about misses the boat and appears to be very large and very fast. Another video here shows a similar sight where a mysterious creature begins approaching a nearby boat. As well as this, there have been quite a few photos taken of creatures that resemble the Loch Ness Monster, and while many of these have been confirmed fake, there are a few that remain a mystery. Number 4 is the Imp. An imp is a small creature that spawns from German mythology. It was originally deemed to be a lesser goblin, but in a lot of modern media, it is used as an individual creature with no connections to goblins. Regardless, there have been a few videos that have popped up throughout the years that show us some strange, unknown creatures. One video clip was taken in a person's home and apparently shows a small, human-like creature running across their kitchen floor. There have also been some other clips that show what appears to be an imp, however these could easily be fake. But with new creatures being found almost every single day, there is a possibility that we could soon find a creature that at least resembles an imp. Number 5 is a chimera. A chimera is a creature that spawns from Greek mythology and is described as a fire-breathing hybrid animal with 3 heads, consisting of a lion, a goat, and a snake. So you're probably thinking there is no way that this thing was caught on tape. And to be honest, yeah, it wasn't really. However, there was a creature that was caught on tape in Holland that shared a slight resemblance to an animal with a lion's head. The creator of the video actually got a text soon after from a person who claimed they were a part of an experiment to create a hybrid animal. However, this animal escaped for around 20 hours and ran wild in the area where this footage was taken. The creature was eventually caught, but CBS and other news networks picked it up and ran the story. There have been a number of people who have came forth in the past and stated that they were involved in experiments centered around creating hybrid animals. So the idea of an experiment taking place is not that surprising. However, an experiment like this actually working to the full extent is another question altogether. Number 6 is a sea serpent. A sea serpent is definitely a more general idea of a mythical beast. However, it is one that has existed in stories for hundreds of years, and it's also a creature that has been spotted thousands of times in the past. There have been some strange creatures that have been spotted on tape and in photographs, such as this one here. So when you take these and add on the large amount of accounts that have been written, it definitely makes you wonder. With over 90% of the ocean to explore, we might still come across a creature that resembles the description of a sea serpent. Until then, we're going to have to stick to the small bit of apparent video evidence we have. Number 7 is the Mothman. The Mothman is a mythical creature that exists in American folklore and actually is a relatively new story. The idea behind it spawned from a number of sightings of a creature appearing before some disasters. The main example of this was a disaster that occurred in 1967 when the Silver Bridge in West Virginia collapsed and killed 46 people. It was stated by many eyewitnesses that a creature described as a man-sized bird was at the scene moments before the incident. Since then, many people have looked out for this exact creature when a disaster takes place, and while there hasn't been any luck finding it, there have been a few pictures showing a creature resembling the Mothman. However, the bridge in question was said to have been poorly designed, so it is more likely that it collapsed because of that. But there are still people who believe it was the doing of the Mothman. Number 8 is a dragon. A dragon is one of the most well-known mythical creatures in history and exists in pretty much every mythology out there, but is very dominant in Asian countries. While it is hard to believe that such a beast exists in real life, there have been some video clips that apparently show just that. One clip shows a person who entered a cave that hadn't been previously explored. In the cave, there were a number of eggs and skeletons, and at the end of the video, we see what is supposed to be an actual dragon. Now, to be fair, I feel like we'd notice a dragon flying about because, you know, it's a dragon. So if there are any out there, I feel like it would be discovered just chilling in a cave, but still, there is a good chance it could be fake. Number 9 is a pixie. Similar enough to an imp, a pixie is a creature that spawns from British folklore that also has some Irish and Scottish descent. Areas in the United Kingdom, notably Cornwall and Devon, actually had moments in the 19th century where most of these areas actually believed these creatures existed. There have been a large number of accounts from Cornwall and Devon that states pixies would often visit their homeland, and because of this, quite a few people believe there is a possibility pixies or a creature similar to it exist. One video that was recorded showed a full human skeleton that was only around 6 inches in size. As well as this, there have been some videos that show what appear to be pixies or fairies, but whether these are real or not have not been confirmed. Number 10 is Bigfoot. Another very well-known story, Bigfoot is an ape-like creature that spawns from North American folklore. There have been sightings of this creature for well over 100 years, but the most famous sighting came in 1967 when the Patterson footage emerged. The footage showed what appeared to be a creature that resembled the description of Bigfoot. However, many people claimed it was just a person in a gorilla suit. Since this footage emerged, people have searched far and wide for similar findings, and a number of clips have appeared that apparently show Bigfoot. While many of these are said to be fake, there are a few clips that have even left experts baffled. And that's it for this episode of Caught on Tape. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to hit that like button. I'll leave a link in the description to a playlist that will lead you to the rest of the episodes I've done on this series. But that is all for now. Until next time.
Okay, I hope that was fun for everyone. I mean, it is kind of mind-blowing when you think about the fact that, oh goodness. Sorry guys, I guess I needed to silence that. All right, so we are starting from the current slide about the dragons. I hope that was fun for all of you. You know, as a clairvoyant and someone who is let us say a time walker through consciousness, being able to go back into the Akashic records as I have for 30 years in my readings, I have encountered a lot of things. I certainly know that there were mermaids on this planet and mermen. They were around at the time of Atlantis and Lemuria. And there is also some really interesting footage, if you want to look it up on YouTube, that appears that there are still mermaids. Although they are, of course, being destroyed, like the dolphins and the whales, by the Navy sonar test that we're doing. And that's a problem. And as I said, I also seen that there were dragons, although I've never met a dragon or a mermaid in the physical world. So these are things for us to keep an open mind about, I think, and to consider the fact that a lot of the things that have come down to us in mythology actually have a very strong basis, that our planet has gone through many different seasons or ages of evolution, that we have had civilizations rise and fall, and that ours is a civilization for the last 11,000-12,000 years. Once Atlantis went down, we kind of hit the bottom, and then we begin to come back up, and we're at a point now where we're crossing the galactic equator, where we are at a place of great choice. But a lot of these kinds of beings are beginning to appear in our world today, giving us an opportunity to rewrite our version of human history.